You know, I'm looking around here. I think we're going to need a bigger booth. This is nice. It's a good problem to have. So, welcome to the, I guess, the unofficial kickoff for NAMM 2025, the Martin Guitar Press Conference. Thank you all for joining us. My name is Mike Nelson. I'm the VP of Marketing for Martin Guitar. And I'll tell you, we've got an incredible show. First, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention, I don't know if you saw, but we're going to have a Martin Guitar acoustic stage just downstairs outside of Hall E, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Make sure you check it out. We've got amazing artists, some great panel discussions, so please attend as much as you can. But more importantly, we've got just incredible lineup of guitars and products this year, and we've got some milestone guitars, we've got some artist models, we've got art guitars. Really, I think it's pretty safe to say that no other brand acoustic manufacturer has the selection that Martin has, and that's on purpose, because we are in the business of unleashing the artist within all of us, and there's no better way to do that than to offer a lot of choices so that you can find the perfect instrument or strings or accessories to fit you and your musical journey. So before I hand this off to Chris Martin, I just want to thank a few people. I want to thank Kate and Lynn from Richland for basically bringing us all together. Thank you, Kate and Lynn. I'd like to thank Amy Kreider, who oversees our backstage program, and I'd like to welcome all of our VIP backstage members. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. I have to thank Hans here and Jason Honor and Shannon Hughes. Without them, we wouldn't have made it out here. So thank you. Great job, everyone. And then finally, I just want to thank our product team and everybody back home here's heart and soul into all the products you're going to see here today. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Chris.
Good afternoon. We're back. And the coolest thing is, for me personally, because we never left. I believed in NAMM when some of my competitors didn't, and even this thing of ours. How cool is this? I want to take a moment before I begin. We are very conscious of the disaster that occurred. In fact, I spent the weekend with a good friend of mine in Pasadena. And so we're in the phase of gathering information. The company wants to do something to help friends of ours who, unfortunately, it's quite possible that their guitar collection burned up. So right now, our inclination is to support the NAMM Foundation, because the NAMM Foundation is, in fact, I'm going to a meeting at 3, where those of us that have foundations are going to talk about the normal good work we do, and I'm sure that's going to be one of the topics, is how do we specifically support friends of ours who play music who are suffering because their home burned up. And also Guitar Center. Guitar Center, because they're located in California. So I think Guitar Center is inclined to give instruments, and NAMM is inclined to give money to people that are part of our NAMM community. So if you hear anything, First of all, if you want to give, I would suggest you support the NAMM Foundation. But if you hear anything about other opportunities to support people in need, let us know. Because when we go home, we're going to do something. We're just not exactly sure what we're going to do. So when did we start the discussion about the model we're going to talk about? It wasn't last week.
It was
A year and a half ago, Tim came to me and he said, you know, by the time we come to this show, we are going to run up to the 3 millionth serial number. I said, Tim, it wasn't that long ago that we did the 2.5 million, right? But a 3 millionth guitar requires some planning. So we had a little bit of a false start first time around, right? But sometimes, and I've learned this in my career, sometimes the second iteration is the one. You know, sometimes you get it right the first time, but I hope you'll agree that we got it right the second time. So Tim, come on up. Let's show Martin guitar number 3 million. So the theme is a tree. Can you see the slice of a tree, right? There's the growth rings, and then we bring it back to Nazareth. There's a
Now we're on Sycamore Street.
Sycamore Street, so here's a sycamore tree. Show the bottom. Just a tour de force of the combination, and it makes sound, right? It isn't just a piece of art.
That's right.
So if you think about the history of the company, that's 1833. And as we move along, my family moved the business from Nazareth to Cherry Hill, and then to downtown Nazareth, and along the way, many, many milestones that we talked about earlier,
Right.
almost too many to remember.
There's a lot. 192 years.
192 years of Martin history represented through this top. The pick guard shows Nazareth. If you remember, the 2.5 millionth showed New York.
New York.
It showed the New York City location, the first location. Well, here we've got Cherry Hill. And the reason my family lived and worked at Cherry Hill is Nazareth, Pennsylvania was founded in 1740 as a closed religious commune founded by the Moravians. And even in 1839, if you were not Moravian, you couldn't live in town. So they bought a piece of property on Cherry Hill, and then in 1858, the town incorporated itself and let in the outsiders, including my family, who by then had converted to Moravianism because it was kind of the only religion in town. So that's North Street, the old factory that's still there. And then in 1964, we moved to the new factory. And I love telling the story about the new factory because it was built in anticipation of the folk boom from the late 50s and early 1960s, never ending. We opened the factory in 1964 to build more guitars for folkies. And what happened? The British invasion and folk rock. I mean, talk about timing. So it was good. Now, people ask me, like, what is that guitar worth? And I'm going to go out on a limb. Where's Mitchell? I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to say, I believe that this guitar is worth $3 million. However, where's Matt and Robert? Where's Matt? So give me some duct tape. Robert, bring a banana up here.
An ordinary banana.
Or, don't really do it, right? Do not really do this. If we were to duct tape a banana to the top of this guitar, does that make it worth $6.2 million? That's for you to decide.
Okay. Well, there's a lot to talk about. We don't have much time.
We don't have much time.
No, we don't.
Cut to the chase.
So, even though this one may be worth a lot of money, you can buy a scaled down version. So this is
For the average punter.
Yeah, for the average player, right? So this is our D300, and as you can see, it's very similar in design. There's less gold on this guitar as opposed to the 3 millionth. And
Sell this one by weight.
you could definitely sell it by weight. We have those specs for how much golden carats. I don't remember off the top of my head, but it's a lot. This one will be for sale. There's 29 that you be for the market. This one is going back into the museum. This one will have a map price of $300,000. So, just very similar to what we did with the D200.
Yeah.
So, and then also D100. Yep. Okay.
Sir. Come on up. So Craig knows, and I've had so much fun traveling around the world with Craig, telling the Martin story. And we're going to continue to do that. We're going to talk here with our dealers and distributors about where we're going to go this year. And you know, Craig, I can talk for 20 minutes about a ukulele. 20 minutes. Again, we don't have time, but I would like Mike to talk specifically about the two anniversary model ukuleles that we have here. We are the world's oldest continuous manufacturer of ukuleles. Two fun facts. Who's seen the Bob Dylan movie? Great, right? Who knows what Pete Seeger's first instrument was? Ukulele. And Craig. So we were in England. I had a cold, so I spent a lot of time in the hotel room. And when we weren't working, how far away was the apartment?
3 blocks.
3 blocks away was the apartment that Jimi Hendrix lived in. So Craig went over. Craig actually knew more about the history of the apartment than the people that were curating the museum. Jimi Hendrix's first instrument was a ukulele he found in the garbage with 1 string.
So to celebrate the 100-year anniversary or the centennial of the concert ukulele, that's a body size in between soprano and tenor, we are commemorating that occasion with 2 models, one out of Nazareth, one out of Navajoa. Craig is kind enough to hold the model out of Nazareth, made from reclaimed sinker mahogany, neck and body, Madagascar rosewood binding, and you'll notice some vintage cues, specifically the fingerboard stops short of covering the entire body down to the sound hole, and that just allows the top to resonate more, and it's vintage correct.
So HG, and then I get off stage. All right. So I bought a guitar at an auction. I love auctions. A little dangerous now that they're on the internet, because it looked like a Martin. I'm like, that's an odd duck. What was that thing? Little sound hole, 4 F holes, dark color, has a sound baffle. But I thought there's something there, particularly when I saw it from the back. I'm like, wow, that looks like a dreadnought. And what's cool about it, it was a slope-shouldered dreadnought. Many of you are familiar with our slope-shouldered dreadnoughts. Ours were 12 fret. The one I bought was 14 fret. So it's like, wow, it's got this slope-shouldered look, which I think is pretty sexy, but it's got a 14 fret neck. So you were a little skeptical in the beginning, right? Oh, Chris, it's like this. No, it's not. No, it's like that. No, it's not. It's its own thing. So we made one. I thought, why not make it out of koa wood? And I gave the pre-production prototype to Craig. Craig and I travel all over the world, but Craig plays a lot of rock music with his bands. You stand when you play your Strat. But when we tour together, he sits, right? I talk, he plays. It's a fun, great dog and pony show. And Craig goes, Chris, I can't sit and play a dreadnought for very long because my arm goes numb. I handed Craig this guitar and he goes, oh, it fits. So if any of you, I'm going to be here the entire show. If any of you want to talk to me more about why I found this particular shape so exciting and why I'm excited by the fact that we can make a Martin to kind of commemorate that the end of the Hawaiian music craze. The dreadnought guitar was not designed for country music. It was not designed for bluegrass. It was designed for Hawaiian music. sir. And, I'm always like, what's next? So I thought, how can we really honor that period in the teens and the 20s when ukuleles became wildly popular? We made a lot of koa guitars, some set up for Hawaiian style playing. And I'm looking around and I came across, this would be a great way to just kind of square the circle around the connection with Martin and Hawaiian music. It's an Oahu. And you may be familiar with that brand. Oahu was a company. They were basically a publisher, but they wanted to sell you a package. Not only will we sell you the music, we'll sell you an instrument, and we'll sell you an amp. And I thought, wouldn't that be cool? It appears that the Oahu brand was abandoned. So I'm proud and happy to be able to resurrect that brand. And I want to give a shout out to Gary Lambert, because when we first started to do it, Gary said, the apostrophe is in the wrong direction. And thank goodness we corrected that. Otherwise, people in Hawaii would be like, oh man, they couldn't even spell Oahu correctly. Fred.
Yes. What, good? Oh my God, I am so afraid I'm going to knock that guitar over. That would be the absolute worst. Please don't. Yes, thank you. Let me introduce my buddy, my manservant Joey down here. He's going to help me out today. We're going to talk a little bit about the new standard series. So we've refreshed the standard series. People are probably asking, why would you refresh something that doesn't need refreshing? It's doing pretty well. But as Joey mentioned, we were talking a little bit earlier. Through our work in Martin, we found out that whenever we make something more like the guitars in the 1930s, people tend to like it more. And that's essentially what we're doing here with the new standard series. We always want to make the guitars look better, we want to make them play better, and we want to make them sound better. So that's how we went at refreshing the whole line this year. So first off, let me just start with what we did on the fingerboard. We went to an authentic thickness fingerboard. So the modern fingerboards were a little bit thick. On the authentics, the stuff that we make that are actual recreations, the fingerboard is actually a little bit thinner. So we're going to take that thin fingerboard all the way into all the standard line series. Now, we had to add a little bit of meat to the back of the neck when we did that to keep the same thickness all the way through. But it also allowed us to go in and put what we're calling a comfort beveled edge to the fingerboard to make them play a little nicer. And by that I mean, this is something that we did to the aged authentic series. So when people pick up some of our aged guitars, they essentially go, wow, this guitar feels so broken in, it already feels like it's been played. That's because of the treatment we've done to the fingerboard. We couldn't do that without making the fingerboard thinner to begin with. So we wanted to make the guitar play a little bit better. We also rounded off the edges of the bridge. Now, sometimes people don't recognize this, that when you're working with all the new machinery and the CNCs that come, they're so precise. I mean, they're absolutely perfect. And when you see the older guitars, of course, they're handmade. Everybody's working on each piece individually. So they were a little bit different. Well, the edges of the bridge were actually really sharp because the machines were so precise. In the old days, they were taking them on spindle sanders and they would round everything over. So what we've done now is we've rounded over the edges of that bridge, so when you pick it up and you're palm muting the guitar, it's going to feel more like one of those old guitars from the 1930s. Now we're also going to do a bone nut and saddle. So that is new. That's a pretty big upgrade. If you were to order that through the custom shop, that would cost you extra money, as would and bone pins also. I should mention bone pins. So those would cost you extra through the custom shop. Also, when we're working on the nut up here, we've changed it. Now, all the modern guitars had the nut on the flat as opposed to nut on the angle. So everybody's gonna say, well, what the hell does that mean? Well, essentially, the edge of the nut would be parallel to the fingerboard on the modern guitars, but in the old guitars, it was always parallel to the peg head. So we've moved that back to be parallel with the peg head. So once again, getting back to original. Then we're talking about the volute on the back. On all the modern guitars, the volute was what we called a short diamond, and all the vintage guitars, it was a long diamond. So we're going back to the long diamond, and we're adding in the extra time it takes to put a long diamond. So once again, we're trying to make the guitar look a little bit nicer. And then on the heel, we tried to make the heel a little bit more elegant, so we've reshaped it. They were getting a little bit chunky. So we wanted to reshape the heel. And of course, the biggest change that we made is we're going to a golden era brace blank on the inside. So we're taking the standard golden era braces that we've used in the past that are used on Authentics and others. The Authentic ones are shaped way down. We're essentially going to go to the golden era brace that we're using right now on the Modern Deluxe. So the Modern Deluxe bracing is moving into the standard line. So often what happens with guitars these days, we all know about inflation and what's happening. People tend to raise their prices on guitars, and you essentially get the same guitar you got last year. It just costs you a lot more money. We really wanted to make sure, yeah, the prices went up $100 on the standard line, but we've given you hundreds of dollars of value that would cost you through the custom shop in that same piece. Craig, you gonna play the OM? We'll play the OM first, and we'll do this.
OM.
Yeah. There you go. You got it? OM 45. So a couple things coming. Also added to the standard line this year, we're adding a 17 series. So for those of you who like the 15 and you want to get the full-on standard appointments, which is the compound dovetail, the golden era braces, the whole thing, that will be now in the 17 series that will join the standard line. That'll come in a triple O and a D. And then for the first time in 30 years, we're going to have an OM style 45. We haven't had a style 45 OM in the line for over 30 years. So we're reintroducing that into the line this year. And Craig has been waiting to play this. So. Very nice. Thank you. So also coming this year, 2025, for those of you who may be on a little bit more of a budget and they still want to get into that classic looking modern guitar, Martin guitar, we have our new Retro Plus series. All these guitars are being made in our Navajo facility. They all have that Style 18 look to them, mahogany back and sides, torfied spruce top at a nice price, UV finish. It is a mortise tenon neck, ebony fingerboard and bridge. Pardon me. Oh yeah, it's got the traditional Martin water slide decal on there, open gear tuners. Listen, it's that vintage looking Martin guitar, but you're gonna get it at a price, $18.99, the price you wouldn't be able to normally get one of these kind of guitars at. Incredible value for these instruments, offered in a D and in a triple O going forward. Yeah, go ahead. Guys, thank you for your time. I'm going to hand it over to Brian Hall, Master of Strings.
All right, thanks, Fred. As you know, Martin is not afraid to mess with tried and true. Obviously, you can see that here, and it's a fabulous standard series refresh. Well, the same is true for strings as well. We're not afraid to mess with a classic. About every 30 years, you'll notice that guitar strings go through a revolution, right? You had 80-20 bronze in the 1930s, phosphor bronze in the 1960s, coated strings in the 1990s. For 2025, we have Lux by Martin Kovar strings. So we spent a lot of time in the lab looking at what's the best alloy that's going to deliver the sonic but with the playability and corrosion resistance that players expect these days. And that's why we came out with the Lux by Martin Kovar strings. So these came out last year at NAMM, but thank you, Craig. Play this a little later. We had just kidding. But we developed these and introduced them in 2024 NAMM, and then we just continued to add to the line. I want to tell you just a little bit about it. Nickel and cobalt are the two metals that go into it. They're ferromagnetic, which means they work really great with a sound hole pickup. You told us that when we worked on the Rock the Boat guitar. And they also have that high definition sound you want that's going to be able to pull out all those mids and highs that you're really looking for. And then the other advantage is if you play electric and acoustic, you're going to appreciate the playability, the ease of playing a lower tension, sonically excellent set of strings like this. And so we actually took that a step further. And last year, we introduced the Lux by Martin Kovar flexible core strings, just taking a little bit of mass out of the core, adding a little bit more nickel and cobalt into the wrap, and then you'll get a guitar string that's even more playable, lower tension, all those bends, all that shredding that the guitar players love to do on an acoustic every once in a while. You'll be able to do that on the strings too. So as a gift to you, I asked the team if we could put a guitar in your gift bags, and they said they don't fit. So we could put some strings in there. So every one of you here will be able to get a gift bag that has some Lux by Martin Kovar strings. And we encourage you to try them, tell your friends. We do offer a money-back guarantee on these strings, and we're very excited to be a part of the long tradition of innovation at CF Martin & Company as a guitar string manufacturer as well. And with that, I'll hand it over to our CEO, Thomas Ripson, who has many more exciting things to share with us today.
Good afternoon, and welcome, and again, welcome to our backstage members. Thanks for being here. You were probably looking at all these beautiful guitars and the strings. You know, I was looking at that banana, and I was thinking, wouldn't it be really funny if I actually slipped on that banana? That would be some really cool content. Actually, it wouldn't have been so funny. So I'm glad the banana is where it is. I'm going to stay away from that one. You saw some of the new models, and as Mike said at the beginning, we are all about unleashing the artist within. We love to offer variety and choices. You know, we think about this like a painter's palette, right? You always want more tools. You always want more colors. I'm going to talk about colors in a moment. But we love variety. We also, Chris always reminds us, you know, we have one foot in the past and one foot in the future. And we do love tradition, but we also love innovation. And so, you know, I'm going to talk about a few models where you'll see that. And then I think, you know, what you probably also get a sense of here is at Martin, we have people that really love guitars. We love to participate in the design of guitars, right? It's not a one-man show. We have a team, and we love it. And so a lot of these guitars have a lot of input from a lot of people, and a lot of hands touch those guitars, and that's what we like. We love the challenge to come up with something that either reminds us of our tradition or pushes the envelope. So I'm going to talk about the new CEO 11 guitar. So 2 years ago, yeah, you can show it. 2 years ago, we introduced a CEO 10. That was my first CEO model that Chris said, "You're the CEO now, you go at it." And at that time, I was definitely looking more for something that was more traditional. With this one, I was thinking about what's with it with the number 11. And I found in numerology, the number 11 is a master number, and it actually is associated with inspiration and enlightenment, believe it or not. And so I thought about, okay, so how do we design a guitar that does exactly that? It inspires us, it enlightens us. Hopefully whoever picks up the guitar will get enlightenment. And so talking with Tim and the team, we came up with a few things. One, we thought it would be cool to do something with colors. And what you see here is a new Martin color. It's called New Horizons Blue. We experimented a lot, and you can see if you wear jeans and something blue, it's really good. And I tell you, if you play the blues with this, it goes very well. So anyway, the color. But the other thing that intrigued us, given that we are also about sustainability and we're looking at alternatives to our traditional woods that we use, we identified white oak for the backs and the sides, and you see here it's a multi-piece back. And what we also know from, actually, since I joined 3.5 years ago, we got a lot of feedback that we're not doing enough with quadruple O's, the M style, right? A lot of feedback from artists, from players, do more. And as you probably know, we only had one model in our lineup, the 36, which we discontinued. We have the Johnny Marr models, but those are only available for some time. So I love the M style, the M size, and so this is an M style, white oak, back sides, European spruce, and then it has a flamed maple neck. And when you play this guitar, I can tell you it's a very comfortable guitar to play, and I do think the maple neck helps with that. And it creates a somewhat warm sound, very different from our traditional models. So I'm very excited. And then you see these inlays. We wanted something that flows well. And for some of you who are also a little bit into Buddhism, this is actually a Buddhist symbol. It's called Unveils, and it stands for the path to enlightenment. This is their symbol, exactly that. It's the path to enlightenment. And so you see the symbol actually goes up, and when you reach the top, you get your enlightenment. So, Greg, do you want to play it? Thank you, Greg. The next guitar I'm going to briefly talk about is a guitar that's a collaboration with a world-renowned fine artist, Julie Heffernan. First of all, as you know, we love to work with artists, and we have our own Robert Goetzel, who has contributed many, many beautiful guitars, some of which are displayed here. But we want to continue to expand kind of the collaborations. And Julie Heffernan, some of you may actually know her, because she collaborated with Adam Jones on 2 electric guitars. Adam Jones from Tool. She also happens to actually live pretty close to where we live, and so we reached out, talked about doing something together. If you don't know her art, you really should check it out. She paints a lot of themes with nature, very often with humans, engaging with nature, but there's so much going on in her paintings. She handpicked this painting, and we thought, how amazing how this painting actually fits with this guitar. It's a double O, and so we're just excited. There's a limited series, 104 units. It's called Double O Oliver because her son is a musician, player. He's also a film director, and she dedicated this guitar to him, so that's why it's called Double O Oliver. We're not going to demo that. It has koa, sides and back, and it's just a wonderful guitar to look at, to play. It's comfortable to play, and it sounds great. So that's the Double O Oliver. All right. So many legends played double neck guitars, I think, and you know them all, right? Some electric, some acoustic. One of these legends, John Mayer, actually played a Martin double neck guitar during his acoustic solo tour just recently. And before that tour, during the tour, and afterwards, we got a lot of inquiries. Are you making double necks? Are you offering double necks? And I think our team was kind of skeptical. Why would we make a double neck, right? These days, you never know whether it sells. But then we decided, we're gonna go for this one. And so I'm so pleased to talk about our new offering, which will be the first time since 1907 that Martin offers a double neck guitar again. And it's going to be part of our standard line. So not limited, so you all can get it, and it's going to be available for sale. It's the Grand Jumbo body. It has a lot of features that comes in more quantities than usual. Of course, it has 2 necks, that's clear. It has 3 neck blocks. It has 2 separate bridges. It has 1 bridge plate. It has a unique X-bracing pattern, and it has a custom designed Fishman pickup system where you can basically flip between each neck. And the nice thing, there's some blending, so even if you set the switch to the 12th or the 6th string, you still get a little bit of the halo, so it creates a beautiful sound. So we have Gregory here today. George, I'm sorry. We have George here today, who's gonna demo the guitar for us. One last comment on this guitar. some of you may have tried out double neck guitars before. Very often they are quite chunky and they're not well balanced. This one is really well balanced. It's very light. So when you actually pick it up and play, is it pretty comfortable to play, would you say?
It's pretty comfortable, yeah.
That's great, yeah. That's, so our double neck, new offering, very excited about that. So the next one is, I talked about legends and playing double neck. And as you know, we've worked and continue to work a lot with legends, artists, and that's really important for us. And we have another really special two guitars to announce here today, and that's from a collaboration with an artist you all know. Unfortunately, Billy Strings couldn't be here today because he is touring, and he's really bummed not to be here, but he recorded a brief segment to say hi.
If you think of just the word guitar, I think of a Martin D28. Some people might think of a Stratocaster or a Les Paul, but it's just like so American, it's like baseball or something. I started really thinking about it, and my first thought was, I want to make a guitar that people can get into their hands. It would be easy I want to make a D45 with a big pearl pickguard or something, but nobody's going to be able to afford it. And none of the pickers, the young pickers that are growing up learning how to play, are going to be able to, get their hands on something like that. So that was my first thought, was I just want it to be affordable. And then I was just thinking more about it, and it's like, well, this is my guitar, you know what I mean? This is the one for me. And I thought, well, why not just kind of give this guitar tribute by kind of basing it off of this guitar.
So, how cool is that? We now have a signature, two signatures with Billy Strings. The US version, the D28, it's inspired by his 1940 D28. It has a slightly shorter scale, 25-inch. It also has a little bit of wider nut than 1 3/4. That's exactly his specs. It also has some of the artwork that he did on the inside, on the label. And then we also have a more affordable version, an X series dreadnought that is made in Mexico. And again, very similar to the US model, but more affordable. So we're very excited about this collaboration. I know Billy is very excited about this collaboration, and we hope that players out there really love it. So thank you for that. Thank you, Craig. Doesn't the word canon come to mind when you hear this? So, really beautiful. So, we're almost at the end, but we do have one more surprise, and it's a big surprise. And we have a special guest. And you know him. He's a Rock and Roll Hall of Famer, and he is also a Grammy Award winner. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Peter Frampton.
Marvelous.
Peter, welcome.
Thank you.
It's so wonderful to have you here. Good to see you.
Good to
And
see you.
thank you very much. Thanks for being here. And it's,
Well, thank you. Yeah, it wasn't fake. Oh,
Is
it's
it?
not on.
Mike.
Do they have a button? I don't know how these. I've never used one of these before. Hello, hello.
I can hear you.
1, 2. Yeah, right. I know you can.
How about you?
Well, who's going to hear you?
I'm going to speak it out. Here we go. Welcome.
Welcome. Yes, thank you.
Nice to see you.
Hello, everybody. Yes, as you can see, I'm not faking my muscle disease, unfortunately.
So, Peter, thank you for being here. Thank you for being a longtime friend of Martin Guitars. Can you tell us how did you first come to play Martin Guitars, and what are some of the favorite Martin guitars in your collection?
Well, the first time I didn't know what guitar it was, but I found out was Buffalo Springfield with Neil Young and Stephen playing. I think they were playing D45s even back then, but I don't know. But and then I got to meet Stephen and hang out and played some of his guitars and just was drooling like crazy. And that's when I just left a band called Humble Pie, and I left the band and I had $3,000 left. So I went to what was then called Manny's in 48th Street in Manhattan, and I went in and asked Henry, who was it? I want a D45. Well, this was 1970, so I didn't get the right wood on the neck, but that's okay. But no, so I put down a deposit, and I forget how much it was, but it was probably not $2,000 at that point.
Yes.
And then they called me and told me it was in, and then I used the D45, for the whole of the Frampton's Camel record, Lines on My Face, all those songs on that. And then unfortunately what happened is we went on tour and it got taken away from me by someone who preferred to have it himself.
Okay.
So, and then I just, I craved another Martin, but I didn't get one at that point. And it wasn't until later in the 90s
Yep.
when I came to the NAMM show and Dick Boak welcomed me into the booth, and I told him the story, and that's when he said, "We don't have a Peter Frampton model." I said, "No." And so he said, "How about we do one and call it the Frampton's Camel?" So that's what I got, and
That's wonderful.
so it's fantastic guitar, D42s. So I've got 3 of them. And
Here it is.
There's another one.
Yes.
Wonderful.
You see the camel?
Yeah,
So
the camel's up here,
exactly.
and oh my goodness, 3 of 4.
3
Oh,
or
you
4.
kept the 4th one.
Well, we have the prototype. We have.
It's a beautiful, beautiful guitar.
Thank you.
Really
Thank you.
is.
Yes.
I've
And-
played it on many, many sessions.
Right. And maybe there will be more, right?
There might be. That's
There
what I'm
might be.
hearing rumors of. Yeah.
Exactly. So we also heard you announced some tour dates. And
Yes.
We also heard the rumors that you may have spent some time in the studio. Is there maybe something you can share with this audience about your plans this year and maybe beyond?
Yes. Well, I keep saying, well, that's the last one, you know, and then of course I go, can we do it again? You know, so we call this one, let's do it again. So we're going to do two 10-date tours. One in April, starting in the last day of March, and then one in June. And I'm going to keep going as long as my fingers work, you know. Thank you.
Oh, we want to hear.
And it's getting more difficult, I have to admit. The worst thing about playing for me is when I'm soloing or anything is to actually think about what I'm playing. I don't want to think. I want it just to come from my heart, my soul, whatever. And that's how I've always played. And now I do have to think a little bit because I'm in the middle of a passage and I'll say, that finger is not going to get there in time. So I do a regroup, and I used one finger for many notes that I used to use three fingers for. But then I do remember a chap, a Belgian guy, not that I only have two fingers left, and I would never ever compare myself to him, but he made it, he was a well-known, Django was a well-known guitar player, and then he had the fire in his caravan, and that's when his these fingers withered. And he completely reworked. That's what I'm doing. I'm enjoying, because I enjoy music so much. It sounds weird, but you're losing the power to play. Yeah, but I'm working out and enjoying working out a different way of playing so that I can keep playing. That's, you know.
That's wonderful.
I've never not been a positive person. You know, people say, well, you know, aren't you depressed? You know, you can't be, accept the things you cannot change. I learned that in AA and many other places. And it's just something that, why worry about something you can't do anything about? We don't have a magic bullet yet for IBM, which is what I have, but you know, we're doing trials all the time. So we hope, you know, but I will keep doing music for the rest of my life. What I have is not life-threatening, thank God, but it's life-changing, and I'm going with the flow.
Okay, well, it's great to hear that we will hear more from you and see more from you, because it's wonderful what you do. And I do have one specific question, because I watched The Crossroads.
Oh, yes.
Your song, While My Guitar Gently Weeps, with Eric Clapton.
First time ever, yeah.
And I have to say, the two of you seem to be on fire, but I don't think I have seen Eric Clapton laugh and smile so much as during that song. How was that experience? It really seemed like you had such an interplay.
Yeah, there's a very strange story before he has a neurological thing, and sometimes his legs work and sometimes they don't, you know, so he was over the other side of the stadium arena in a dressing room, and I had broken 2 toes that morning. I'd fallen, and so I couldn't, so my road manager, where is he? Donnie Lewis, there he is, the famous Donnie Lewis. He took my phone to Eric, and then we FaceTimed in the building. And I said, do you want to play your solo on when? He said, no, you play it. And he said, do you do anything in the verses? I said, no. He said, oh, I'll do that then. So, but we were just laughing about the whole situation. We couldn't get to each other, you know, but we did meet on stage. And yeah, that was probably one of the most exciting moments of my career. I've met Eric many times. I've spoken with him, but we'd never ever played together. And of course, I'm a huge fan. Of course, I've stolen legs from him, like we all have over the years. And so to actually look at him and listen to him in my ears going, oh my God, that's Eric Clapton, You know, it was wild. So,
And Peter Frampton.
well, yeah, but I wanted it the backwards and forwards to go on forever, and in the end, he just looked at me and went, "I'm okay."
It was awesome, and it's amazing. It's wonderful that it was captured for eternity.
Yes,
That we have it, we
yes.
can see it.
It's wonderful.
So one other reason why we're really honored to have you here is because we want to also congratulate you on your induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
How was that experience?
It was great. I'd waited a while for that, but but you know, you get to the point where you don't expect something. I don't. I've you know. Maybe back in the 70s, or you know, I would have thought that might be a possibility at some point, but no, I sort of said, well, this isn't going to happen, you know.
Yeah.
So when the powers that be, the chairman of the board, said a few daft things, they got rid of him and Jan Wenner, and John Sykes came in and took over as CEO of Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and he's a big fan. Whereas Jan Wenner wasn't. So, but the thing was, I really appreciate it because the person that started the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame was Ahmet Ertegun of Atlantic Records. It was his idea, and then he brought in Jan Wenner. And we lost Ahmet, who was a really good friend of mine. He was a character, but he was incredibly good to me on a personal level, and as well as recording. And so I was thrilled. Thinking when I was up there, I was thinking about Ahmet and how he must be smiling, going, "He got it, yeah."
That's amazing. You had a long friendship with Ahmet, right?
Yes, yes, he was a crazy man, but we loved him.
Well, to continue the celebration, we do have a little gift for you.
Oh my God.
And this is it's called an SC28. We introduced the SC in 2019 or 18, but we now make US models. So this was made in the US, and it's my pleasure to hand it over for you as a gift.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
A big round of applause.
Beautiful. I'll tune it later.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thanks, everybody.
All right.
And I am making a new record. Sorry, I forgot to mention that.
Peter, thank you so much. And a big round of applause for Peter.
Peter.
Thank you. And can we, do you think we can take a picture?
Yes, absolutely.
Chris,
Thomas, why don't you hold that one, I'll hold this one, right?
Oh, wow.
Okay, look at right here, guys.
15 seconds to fade.
That's right. Wonderful.
Peter. Okay, you guys look right here. Yeah. 1, 2. Perfect. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Wonderful. Doing this.
Well, that's right.
Over the hill.
Thank you.
Yes, you look here real quick, Peter.
All right.
You look here real quick. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I have one too. Am I allowed to touch it? This is your only chance. Oh, baby. Mine's at home. He gets his jacket within the next month. So I'll be able to take him off first. Wonderful. Lovely job. Bye-bye.
All right, that's the show, everybody. If you have any questions for any of the team, we will be here for a while, just hanging out by the guitars. So come on over and and ask us anything you want. Enjoy the show. Thank you for coming in. Thanks.
Hey guys, so there you go. That's the Martin lineup for 2025. Is it? All right. Well, I'm sorry. Okay, I think I got it back on. Hello? Turn yours off real quick. Okay, I'll turn mine off. It's all muted now. Muted. All right, guys. It was the 2025 lineup for Martin Guitars. So many cool guitars. I'm looking forward to finally getting my hands on the full American version of the Billy Strings guitar. I'm going to probably play a little Black Mountain Rag here in a minute. And also check out some of the other ones that I haven't got to see. That said, the OM45 is in stock right now. The Billy Strings DX series is in stock. We have one of those there. We've got quite a few things there right now, so you can switch cameras to. Hey, there you go. Better camera. So anyway, come check it out. Yeah, we'll clip that right there. There's lots of cool stuff in the shop right now. Most of the things are there. The new 2025 standards, a lot of them are on their way back in. I think there's only one right now, but I know that there's a 41 on its way. More 18s, more 28s. Lots of new 25s in stock at the acoustic shop within days. And we'll be updating that. Even though I've got a lot of team here with us, we'll be updating that. That new Eastman shipment just arrived and will be online if it's not already right now. There's so many cool things that are going to hit. And yes, we've been selling tons of pre-orders of a bunch of those guitars. So look for the pre-orders from NAMM. And if you grab them now, because we're already out. And yes, tone samples are coming. So stick around, everybody. It's the 2025 NAMM show. We're the acoustic shop. Make sure to like and subscribe. That way you can see all the content. It's going to be a great week. And this is just how it starts. See you guys.